We should be live in a second here.
All right.
Cool. It looks like
I'm
we are
gonna
live.
pop on Facebook real quick and mention that I am live.
Cool. Maybe someone in the chat can tell us that we are live as well, just to confirm. That would be great. Let's see.
And let's also remember that the internet is the internet, so I'm going to repost the link one more time right underneath.
Nice.
We are live.
Awesome.
Just in case people are being lazy.
I guess I can do that too. I should have this stuff figured out, huh?
Yeah.
I'm so organized. Look at me. So how's it going?
Good. Are we official on camera now?
Yeah, we are, I believe.
Nice.
Let's see. Yep, we have comments.
Cool. Everything is wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I've been hiding out. You're in LA right now? Is that where you are?
I am. I'm in Studio City.
Nice. Cool. How do you like it up there?
There are things I really, really like, and there are things I really dislike.
Huh. Okay. What do you dislike?
Just make this interview as awkward and difficult as possible right from the get-go.
Let's just have it be like pulling teeth the whole time.
I love the networking opportunities that are out here. I like the music culture and the culture of engineers for the most part out here. What I do not like is the price that we pay. It's very hard to get places, and it is very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess I should do my official starting stuff now that we are live. I wanted to announce the winner for the last giveaway that I did on my last live stream. So just as a refresher to everyone. So that is these headphones here. So the
Nice.
winner, I'm like trying to figure out how to do a giveaway the best. I'm just like, this is just me workshopping everything right here. This live streaming thing's kind of an experiment for me too. But so what I did is I used a random number generator, and I had a spreadsheet with everyone that entered, and the winner is Kevin Walsh. So you actually won through your comment on the YouTube video, which I believe Kevin Walsh is also a Patreon patron, so they do get extra entries to win. So that's a fun little fact right there. Let's see, what else do I have?
That's a good way to build up an audience, give away some stuff. This is the time to get in right now. You're more likely to win something right now.
It's not a very big spreadsheet. Like
That's how you build it, though. That's the benefit that the early onsetters. And then when you've got 20,000 people on your Patreon, then it's harder to get the free stuff. So they got to join right now for the best chances. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, if
I'm
I ever
signing
get to
up.
that point,
Let's go. Give me my headphones.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's not a very big spreadsheet. I probably shouldn't even admit that, but it's true. It's not a huge spreadsheet.
Listen, I'm about to start a thing, and I'm starting from zero. So I know exactly. Starting from zero is something to be proud of, not something to be worried about.
Cool. I like that attitude.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Cool. So now that I announced that, I'll post that also on the other video saying that it was Kevin Walsh that won, but you can email me. So it's cato@catonoise.com, or you can message me through Patreon or whatever to claim your prize. And let's see, there is going to be another giveaway today that I will announce. And it's going to be for this USB MIDI cable interface. So that's what we'll be announcing at the end of this video. Let's see. You do have to be in the U.S. in order to win because shipping costs. And other than that, I guess we can start hanging out.
We'll start hanging out.
Cool. So your name is Matt Weiss. We have Matt Weiss here today. Matt Weiss is an amazing engineer. You've worked with Kanye West engineer. You've worked with Nicki Minaj. You've worked with Akon, a whole bunch, right?
I actually turned down a Kanye session. I have not worked with Kanye West.
Okay, but you worked with his engineer.
I worked very closely with Andrew Dawson. Yeah. A lot.
Okay, cool. Sweet. You just have this giant list of people that you've worked with. I could if I read it, I would probably like waste the whole interview. But do you want to talk a little bit about your work, what it's been like, what you tend to focus on or try to go
Sure, I'll
towards?
give people the overview. I assume at least 75% of the people watching this probably have no idea who I am, but I appreciate the other
I don't think
25%
so.
who do.
I had some of my
Uh,
some of my Patreon patrons got excited that you were coming on because they watch your stuff too.
oh, awesome.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
So for those who do not know, I have sort of two careers going at the same time. I have the music side of my career, which is primarily as a mixing engineer, but I do a lot of things. I do production, I record. Occasionally, you might find me playing an instrument or doing vocals or any. I've been the guy in charge of making sure the publishing releases get signed during a session. So there's that whole music arm of my career, and then there is the music education arm of my career where I talk about and teach what I do on the music side of things.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's how we first met. I guess Pro Studio Live counts as that educational side, right?
Yeah, I don't
At
remember
college.
which company that was through, but I
Yeah.
remember that that was a very goofy and fun session.
Yeah.
You were one of the few people who made me feel like this is a great time.
Oh, really? Because I was
Yeah,
awkward. I didn't know how to do any. I was like, "What?"
but it's not about whether or not you know how to do things. It's about whether or not the person that you're working with feels comfortable. I talk about this all the time that results are extremely important, but the
Mm-hmm.
experience people have is more important.
Mm.
So, there were a couple of people through that I really enjoyed working with, but then there was also like a lot of shenanigans behind the scenes that were
Mm.
happening, and I ended up like they tried to get me to sleep on a couch in the studio,
Oh,
and
I
I
didn't
I
know
think
about
I
that.
I think I ended up I think I ended up staying at somebody's house
Yeah.
instead. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's always shenanigans with this kind of stuff though. So I mean, that's not
Yeah.
even really a diss.
No,
That's
and
just
it's
how it
tough for
was.
them. Like it was a startup, and it was there wasn't a lot of money flow, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I just kind of I didn't know about a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, like that kind of stuff. I just kind of showed up and did the hosting thing, and I was always into audio, so that was kind of why I did it because I was so awkward in front of the camera, and I didn't I
But
didn't
I've
know how
seen
to
your
present
videos.
myself.
Maybe I saw them a little later. I love your videos. I think they're
Thanks. I've
fantastic.
been getting more comfortable, but I definitely got pushed into that. Like I didn't want to be on that side of things. So.
When I started doing the YouTube tutorials, I
Mhm.
had only been doing articles for the first couple of years I was working with the Pro Audio Files. And when I started doing the YouTube videos and the recorded tutorials, I actually practiced eliminating the likes,
Oh
stutters.
yeah.
And I also would go through and practice being able to speak fast because when you're talking at your normal speaking speed, it translates a lot slower than
Yeah.
what you expect. So I would do, and it was at a time where people would say www before
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
yeah. So I would go www.mattweiss, you know what I mean? And like the whole way through.
Yeah.
And eventually I actually got pretty good at it.
Nice. I still struggle with the ums, but I've kind of gotten more relaxed and conversational about how I do things, I think. So I've let the ums slip. But now I have this new thing coming up that I'm working on that I have to like get rid of the ums and stop saying them, and it's really hard. It's really
What
hard.
what worked for me was being okay with leaving pauses,
Mm.
just dead space.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Now we can just pause for a second. No. See, I can't even
Um,
do it. I can't even do it. I can't even do it. What the F? Yeah. Let's see. Now I'm gonna notice every single and it's gonna be like a feedback loop in my head where I then say them more often.
I'm
Do you ever
destroying your
get that?
interview from the very
You're
gate
just
and just one step at a time, destroying your
psychological
interview.
ruin. So you're building a new educational site, right?
I am. Weissadvice.net.
Nice. Weiss. I love the name Weiss Advice. Goes
It
really well.
rhymes, so it must be good.
Yeah. So you're gonna have tutorials up on there.
I am going to have tutorials on there. I am going to be focused a little bit more on interactivity.
Okay, cool.
Basically, I love the pro audio files, and I love that as a means of distributing information, but it's very single direction information.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn how a compressor works, I've got a great tutorial. It's on the pro audio files. You can go, you can find out how a compressor works. In 2021, I think that a lot of people know how a compressor works. And so I've transitioned a lot of my teaching to why we might use one, but now I want to even bring it a sort of step further and look at everything from a bird's eye point of view in terms of what we're really trying to accomplish and how that applies not only to the production within the scope of the music, but also the big external picture and how it relates to an artist's branding and those kinds of things.
Nice.
So I anticipate it will be a smaller group of people than the pro audiophiles, but it will be more back and forth. And I think we'll get more into the heart of what makes people successful within their musical endeavors.
Cool. So like dig a little deeper instead of just like surface level teaching people how to use the tool type of thing.
Yeah. If we were to put it in a short form, I don't think that that fully describes the idea, but yeah, basically.
Cool. Huh. That sounds like it'll be really cool.
I think for the people who sign up, they're going to find it to be massively rewarding.
Cool. I have people in the chat wondering when that's going to be live.
Well, the website is currently already done, and I am uploading content. So I need to do a user experience phase. I don't want to launch and then it all sucks because that would not look good. So I think I'm going to have to go through a couple months of user testing, and then we'll be looking at having that live sometime around May to June.
Nice. That's pretty soon.
Well, I mean, hopefully I can. This is why I've been taking the week off.
Yeah.
Because it's about to get very, very busy for me.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It is. It's a little scary too. I'm taking a pretty big step back from the pro audio files. So this will be a very new phase of my career.
Yeah. That's smart. I always try to add things on and then I kill myself becoming too busy. So
yeah.
That's smart, I think.
Yeah, it's either smart or really dumb. One or the other.
Well, you got to take some risks in life, right? You got to.
I decided to be a musician.
Yeah.
My whole life has been based on a risk.
Yeah, I got an economics degree and then went into audio.
But that's fantastic, though. I don't know if you've been on my Facebook, but I've been talking about nothing but cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Annoying the crud out of my followers on Facebook because they are not here for it.
Oh, I love it. I know I haven't chimed in a lot, but I love it.
It's new and it's exciting for me because I don't know how to trade. I don't know how to invest. I've sort of been learning. And then I just started going really hard on learning to invest. I paid a couple of people who really understand investing to coach me.
Cool.
And to show me what to do right.
Yeah.
And within the last 2 months, I feel like I went from knowing basically nothing to actually being able to reasonably predict.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it's been interesting to see. You've just been posting more or less, it feels like, your thought process on there. It's been really interesting to see that. Yeah. I do some investing and I've done some crypto investing for, a number of years. And I don't know, I think it's interesting. I don't think I focus on it as much as you do. I try to do the longer term decisions, if that makes sense.
That's the general scale is that the less into it you are, the longer decisions you should be taking.
Yeah.
So, because I do smaller decisions, but I'm doing it being fully aware that I'm going to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But I do it with only so much of the portfolio so that overall it's really just a long-term gain. But I just made a massive swing trade earlier today based on what I believe is going to happen. For anybody who's following it, and we'll get off this subject really quick because I'm sure people are tired of it. But basically we hit a very hard downtrend. Now we're recovering a little bit from it. We've kind of recovered almost about halfway. And so I just took a humongous sell. Basically I'm shorting to myself. And because I believe it's going to come back down one more time in what's called an ABC corrective wave. And so it's a massive risk. This is the biggest risk I've taken so far, especially because shorting in a bull market is generally not a good idea anyway. But I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna stick to my guns, and if I lose out, then I lose out, and I move on.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna go my way.
Fun. Yeah. As long as you can risk losing whatever it is, it's like it can be very, I don't know, fun and profitable.
It's about a third of my crypto portfolio, so
Yeah.
yes and no.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope it goes well. We
Me
have
too.
someone's asking in the chat when your crypto course comes out.
Give me a couple of years first. Everything I'm talking about is what I'm talking about while I'm discovering it, which is why I'm so enthusiastic because it's new and fresh to me. And
Yeah.
from a music perspective, I've been doing this now professionally for 14 years, and I think
Mhm.
unprofessionally for like another 10 years before that because I
Mhm.
started when I was in high school. So I'm like
Yeah.
21 years into this now.
Yeah.
And when I started hard. I started doing it every day, hours a day, and I have kept up that trend for 2 decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and especially if you're making videos, I think people tend to get the same requests over and over. It's like, show me how parallel compression works, or like,
You know, the funny thing is that I've been watching, so in watching the crypto videos, I've been noticing that people do repeat themselves very frequently. And as
yeah,
somebody who's just learning for the first time, I actually appreciate
that's
it
helpful,
because
I think. Yeah.
it's actually surprisingly helpful. So from the educator point of view, it might feel like I'm saying the same thing again and again and again. And actually, that's
Hmm.
been one of my biggest hindrances and why I lost so much momentum for what I've been doing with the pro audio files for the last couple of years. I just felt like I had taught everything.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing it's not about what I teach. It's about what they learn.
Yeah.
And so it can't be about me. It can't be about what I want. If people need to hear parallel compression 1,000 times, then okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about it. You know?
Yeah, and it's like I teach an audio class at a college here in San Diego, and I've I've noticed like sometimes to get someone to understand a concept, you have to explain it to them and then show it to them and then send them a video that's with someone else explaining it to them and then like an article as well. And it's like you get it in like 5 or 6 different ways and then it usually clicks. So,
Well, the best knowledge in the world is the knowledge where you can say, now do it yourself. And
yeah.
if the person learning then goes and does it themselves, they know it. They
Yeah.
they never have to revisit it. They know it for the rest of their lives. But how do you get somebody to do that through a YouTube video?
Right. You can't. You can't.
I think that you can, but I think that you can't do it to not everybody will.
Right. Yeah, you can't force
So
them to do it. Yeah.
so this is where interactivity comes in. It gives me a chance where if I have a webinar, I can discuss with people in a chat and
Hmm.
say, "Oh, okay, so you haven't tried this. Well, give this a try." And then once they try it, then they've learned it, and I can say, "How did your results go?" And I can
Right.
get the feedback from them. And they say, "I tried it, but it just didn't work." I said, "Well, can I see your settings? Let
Yeah.
me see what was going on. Maybe why? Oh, it didn't work because you're using extremely dynamic percussive material. You have to change your timing settings based on that because the compressor is going to swing differently when you have very dynamic information coming in."
Yeah.
That kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
So it's more like a private lesson almost kind of situation that way.
Yeah, so like we can think of it as like lectures, seminars, and one-on-one teaching.
Yeah.
And I really want to go through those kinds of phases, as well as having an archive where, if people want to learn, I did a video already called Mixing with Emotion,
Hmm.
and that's going to be the flagship tutorial in the archive section of the
Nice.
website. And so when people want to get that information, they'll be able to access it because that is very useful. But it's not nearly as useful or engaging or as entertaining and fun as being able to actually see something in real time and get feedback and give feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. They're saying in the chat that T said, I like some of Matt's videos where they gave a download session and you could walk through it in parallel. That makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
so that's very important. That's so people always request that, and the difficulty in doing it is that I need to secure more than one permission to do that. It's one thing to
Hmm.
say to an artist, "Hey, can I use this for demonstration?" And usually they will say yes, and
Yeah.
I'll throw them a few $100 for allowing me to do that, and give them a free mix as well, just as like a complimentary thing. And that people are usually happy with that.
Hmm.
But when it comes to actually distributing the stems, then it becomes a very different conversation, and people say, "Well, wait a minute, this is my raw tracks, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I really want people to have that." And you say that's very understandable. So I'd say about 1 in 3. It's an awkward conversation to have for
Yeah.
one, but I'd say about 1 in 3 artists are not interested in having their stems out for
Yeah.
distribution.
Well, it's more vulnerable. Like they're more vulnerable that way. I can't say that word right now for some reason. It's more,
It,
yeah, you know.
yeah, I mean, it's vulnerability, especially
Yeah.
if I'm teaching a course on like editing. It's one of the reasons why I've stayed away from editing as much as I have is because in order to show something on editing, I need to show something that needs a good deal of
Yeah.
editing. So there's the vulnerability side of that, and then there's also sort of the mystique side of it, where it's like maybe not everybody is meant to be able to completely unlock the magic of things. So it might allow for too much personal insight into what the artist is before the product is put out.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That's a tough one. I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna go for it though. It's a really salient comment because the truth is that allows for that interactivity, right?
Yeah.
If I say this is what I'm doing, the person can actually follow along and do it, and
Yeah.
it becomes a much more locked in experience.
Yeah. You actually internalize how to do whatever's going on instead of just watching someone doing it.
Yeah, the term is
Yeah.
tacit knowledge.
Nice. Cool. Awesome. Do you have any business advice for audio engineers?
I have a lot of business advice for audio engineers. We might have to be a little bit more specific though.
Oh, I don't know. How to find new clients. What kind of techniques do you use or have you used in the past? You probably everything's just word of mouth at this point for you, huh?
No, not everything is word of mouth. So,
Okay.
finding new clients comes in a lot of different phases because most of the clients that come through knowing who I am will frequently know me from the YouTube videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, several 100,000 people might see those.
Yeah.
But those clients oftentimes get a surprise when I actually disclose my rates.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of the time, the clients that are coming through that mechanism of word of mouth are not really the clients that I'm trying to necessarily cultivate because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, their budgets are lower. Like I hate
Yeah.
to sound greedy, but
It's less follow through.
yeah, well, and they tend to be newer clients too, which also requires more work
Yeah.
typically. So it's more work with smaller budgets.
Yeah.
Word of mouth, usually that's sort of a chain effect of like somebody that I'm working with referring to somebody else. That this year has been a little bit rough because nobody's actually interacting like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
and in LA, people tend to be a little bit guarded about these kinds of things. So word of mouth has helped in a lot of ways where a client that I've worked with has referred another client and they refer another client, et cetera, and that can go pretty far. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times I actually do need to sell myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually, I'm very shy when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to, you wouldn't think so.
No, I
But
get how that can happen though.
yeah, when in this kind of a situation where it's just me and you talking, and I'm aware that there's other people that are watching, it's
Yeah.
fine. When I get in front of a camera, it's fine
Yeah.
in these solo situations. But put a bunch of people in like a nightclub,
Mm-hmm.
and people that I don't know and don't know why I'm there, and I find it very difficult to introduce myself and to
Yeah.
explain who I am and why I'm there and things like that.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way.
But I have to be out there. And one of the strongest things that I've done for myself really is kind of bringing in somebody to help, an advocate.
Okay.
Because if you have an advocate, it's much easier and more comfortable for somebody else to bring you into an introduction than it is to bring yourself into an introduction.
Mm-hmm.
So, people ask, should I get a manager? And the answer to that question is no, not necessarily. If you don't have something yet to manage, then you probably shouldn't. But
Mm-hmm.
you do need some kind of a team or association or advocacy method if you're not advocating for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I do both. So,
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's a tough one. Let's see. Got a lot of comments here. Uh, so you learned like the basics on a bunch of different instruments. Is that right?
yes,
How do you think that's helped? Has that helped you as an engineer?
tremendously. Um, you know, you have to understand the medium that you're working in order to work in it. So if you think of what this is, if you look at this, like, let's not say this was music. Let's just say this was a ambiguous project. What am I really doing?
Yeah.
I am a finisher. I am finishing what's been presented. So if I don't understand what's been presented, it's like being the color correction person on a film project.
Yeah.
If I don't understand what the film is communicating and what the actors are trying to do, what the director's vision is, and the mechanisms that are going in there, then I might be able to make it look nice, but am I going to be able to make it look right?
Right.
And the answer to that is 75% of the time, yes, because just making it look nice is right. But I'm going to miss those 25% of the time where I don't really understand what's truly going on. So I'm not a great musician. I play keys, I play bass. I started on drums.
Nice.
I think I actually played clarinet for like a week.
Yeah.
That was when I was very young. And I picked up saxophone at one point just to kind of get my fingers around it. I tried to play violin for like a split second.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Yo, that is the hardest instrument in the world.
Yeah, it was so hard.
It's amazingly difficult.
Yeah, I was young. It was like when everyone gets introduced to orchestra, and like I had a beagle, and she would just howl the second I started playing or trying to practice, and then my brothers would start howling about it too, and it didn't last very long. It was not good.
It's a screaming Irish banshee being unleashed upon your household for like the first 2 years of playing. But in knowing these things, like I know how all these instruments function and work and the different sounds you can get and the different things that are difficult versus the things that are easier. And in addition, I've also done a lot of programming in electronic genres. So I've made beats, I've made EDM type of stuff before. And I have some mild success as a hip hop producer.
Nice.
So, I know what the producers are doing too and what their capabilities are. And this allows me to have better perspective into what I can make the finished product look like.
Yeah. And that's like a whole other type of instrument if you think about it, like all the digital stuff.
It's a completely
and
different
actual
world.
production. I love that stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about here? Oh, so you were building a studio for Akon, right? Or with Akon?
That's how I met Akon. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? I'm super curious about that.
So I met Con because his A&R was working with an artist that I was working with, and Con wanted to build a studio in Burbank, and they needed a technical consultant. So this A&R, Hiro Oshima, who now is my manager, incidentally, he is the one who brought me in to be the technical consultant for the Akon studio. And that project ran for about a year and a half, but unfortunately things did not quite work out as anticipated, and that studio did not get built.
Man, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Isn't he based, he's based in Atlanta, right?
He's based in the sky.
I was going to say, is he still based in Atlanta, or he's traveling around, huh?
So this very moment right now, I believe he's in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
But you could catch him there just as easily as you'd catch him in Miami, Senegal, Atlanta, or LA.
Okay.
Or New Jersey.
Yeah. He's really into the crypto stuff too, huh?
He has his own cryptocurrency.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
It actually 4x'd on the in the last month.
Wow, nice. Do you have any?
Well, I don't have any Acoin at the moment.
Oh man.
And yes, his cryptocurrency is called Acoin.
Nice.
I'm gonna get some.
It would
actually.
have to be. How's it spelled? Is it Akoi?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think I've seen. I think I've seen it because I remember. I know that he has it. I just didn't remember what it was called.
That's why I gotta call it Weiss Advice. I'm just watching what
Yeah.
Akon does, and he brands everything with his name.
Yeah, I love it.
It's brilliant. Like, of course, this is the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did he get you into crypto, or was it just independent, or vice versa?
No, I've been in crypto. I got into crypto by accident, actually.
Yeah.
I was gambling online.
Okay.
Because I am a ridiculous poker player, and I mean that in various senses of the word. And I accidentally left some Bitcoin on a site, and I didn't play for like a year.
Oh
And I
boy.
came back and I looked at what was on the site. I was like, I've got like $1,500 worth of Bitcoin on
Yep.
this site.
Yeah.
Like, when did this happen? So I started playing around with it. The same time a lot of people I think got into it in like late 2017,
Yeah.
and I pretty much washed and left myself with the same $1,500 I started with. But it kind of gave me the motivation to be like, all right, well, maybe there's something here.
Yeah.
This time, I actually started getting into it back in May, and then really started getting into it in September.
Oh, okay. So
And
it's recent.
it's well, yes, but the difference is I didn't start playing with it while we were already halfway up a bull cycle. I started playing with it while we were at the end of a bear cycle going into the bull cycle, and there's a big difference in that. So even if I mess, this is why I'm not worried about doing these gigantic swing trades. Even if I mess up, I've already more than doubled my money. So
Right. Yeah, you're looking at the whole picture instead of just the momentary.
yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I had a question in the chat. Let's see. Someone was wondering if you'll have mixed critique services on your new website.
I sure will. I'm going to have mixed critique services as
Nice.
well as more in-depth feedback, extended coaching sessions.
Nice. Cool. That sounds super handy. I might have to get on that. So sorry, I'm like distracted looking at the chat really for a minute here. So when you're working on the studio with Akon, what stage did you get to with that? Did you have plans laid out? Did anything actually start getting built?
We were so
Sorry.
close. No, it's
Really?
okay. I don't mind talking about it. It's just you have to understand, like, and I'm sure you can relate. What a dream
Yeah.
to to be building a 6,000 square foot facility that I would then become the head operator for.
Yeah.
I was so pumped to see this thing through to the end, and then it went downhill at the 11th hour because Khan, like a good businessman, does not like to spend his own money if he can avoid it. He brought in an investor, but here's the thing: there is no such thing as free money. He brought in an investor who felt that he could do the job that was already like 75% of the way done. He felt that he
No.
could do it the rest of the way better. And so he started trying to find the best prices on everything.
Uh-huh.
Finding the best price on everything is not necessarily the way to go.
Yep.
You want to find the best people, and then you want to put price second. So, to draw the parallel back to the crypto thing, there are two coaches that I have used. One guy is more expensive than the other.
Yeah.
The guy who is more expensive is actually the less effective coach. So, there are people who are cheaper. However, if the tides were turned, I would still be spending the same money.
Yeah.
Because the goal is for me to ultimately know what I'm doing and do it right, right?
Yep.
And this is way less expensive than trying to do it myself.
Yep.
Because if I try to do it myself, what I've spent in coaching, I will lose in 10 minutes. This is a very similar
Yeah.
idea. So we ended up losing our entire contracting team,
Man.
and we could not get new contractors in there that could figure out what was going on, because he was trying to get in just general contractors, not guys who necessarily knew what studios looked like. And
Right.
eventually, he tried lowballing me, and I left too.
Oh no.
So that was, and actually it did cause a little bit of a rift with Khan. I didn't speak to Khan for about 3 months.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
Bummer.
it was massively disappointing.
Yeah. Did you guys have like gear and everything picked out for it?
Oh
Like
yeah.
consoles?
Oh, we had an SSL board.
Ugh.
Yep. That SSL board is still sitting in there, incidentally, and now it needs to be sold.
Huh. Wow. Bummer.
So if you know anybody who wants to buy an SSL board that's probably in serious need of repair at this point,
Is it one of
I've
the
got
old ones?
I believe it's a K9000, which is actually a pretty good board.
Cool.
It's either a G or a K, and I can't remember which one.
I mean, I want to buy it, but I don't have the money, so.
I mean, I don't know. I think that
Or the
we'd
room.
probably let it go for like 50K at this point.
Yeah, I just got that in my pocket. Hold on.
I mean, but it's enough for a person who's not a company to afford,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, not
Yeah.
me, not you, but
Yeah.
let this cryptocurrency do a little bit better, and then maybe me.
Yeah.
I don't think I would buy an SSL board anyway, even if I had the money.
Yeah. I don't have the room for one, and I think I should probably focus on my acoustics here first and more.
Probably.
I feel like it's a never-ending struggle with the acoustics in here because I have I'm in a loft, so there's just a big open space behind me, and then like my
Oh,
living
yeah.
room. So I'm like
You,
trying to make this whole. I have an attack wall in front of me here, and then I
I was about
have
to say, you need an attack wall and a bunch of baffles,
yeah,
which
that's yeah what I've been doing. But like, there's nothing above me. I should get something above me here. I think. What do you
gotta
think?
get a cloud.
Yeah, that's what I need next. I think. Do you
Yeah.
think that's what I should get next?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You're using an SM7, so you're rejecting a lot of the room.
Hmm.
Your capture sounds pretty tight with the SM7, but if it was a condenser, I don't know if I would be hearing the same thing.
Yeah, the room. There's a good amount of reverb in that
Uh,
space.
give it a.
I mean, here
It's
it's
not
a
bad.
lot better than the rest of the space. It's gotten better since I've treated it. The attack wall actually made a huge difference. I
Yeah.
was beyond happy with that decision. So,
Well, the main thing you're probably looking to do with your acoustics is to shorten your decay time in your
yeah.
room. And so if you've got
Yeah.
an area of your room with a shortened decay time, you've really accomplished that. Because actually, bigger
Cool.
rooms in general for like modal response tend to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking about how since it's bigger, I'm maybe less likely to have certain things kind of build up. And it's a weird shape too. So it's not like, when you have a parallel room, you can kind of be like, here's the math on this length room and what frequencies are going to build up or, cancel themselves out. And it's like a weird shape. So I don't know how I would do the math on that. I don't know if I would have the
You
same type of concern,
You wouldn't. You
right?
would get an acoustic consultant because that stuff gets really complicated really fast.
Yeah.
Rectangles are complicated enough.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you start getting into like weird shapes, like this is a very weird shaped room too, but
Mm-hmm.
it's nice the way it works out actually,
Cool.
because that change in the wall breaks up the parallel primary reflection and it makes oblique reflections instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I do still have like a couple primary room modes that I needed to treat out with absorption, but
Yeah.
most of them are like non-primary oblique room modes, and so once you pinpoint one frequency, it's not like you don't have to do as much work to get that to even out.
Nice. Is that art behind you? Is that acoustic treatment too?
So that's uh yeah, that is
Yeah.
just artwork. That's
Okay.
something I put up so that you're not staring into my kitchen. But what you can't see is
Oh, okay.
that all along here and then here
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I've got treatment all over the place. So it doesn't look like it's so treated in the shot,
Mm-hmm.
but it is very treated overall in the room.
Nice. That's awesome. What kind
Yeah.
of monitors do you have there?
I have PMC TB2S pluses.
Cool. Do you like them?
I do like them. They're kind of like they're kind of like broadband NS10s with slightly better transient response. They're like if
Okay.
NS10s were really the best that they could be.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of gives me that. Eventually, I will get something like Tyler's, or if I want to be like really ludicrously, spending money, maybe like Augsburgers.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want a space that's going to be a little bit more permanent than my one bedroom apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you
But
doing a lot of work in your home studio before COVID hit?
I work from home as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I have no interest when people want me to come out and do a session. They're like, "What's your hourly rate?" The first thing I say is, "I don't have an hourly rate.
Uh-huh.
You're booking me for the day, or you're not booking me."
Yeah.
Because I know some great tracking engineers that I am happy to refer.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Yeah.
But if you want me to actually climb out of this cave,
Yeah.
yeah, I love working from home, and this is like COVID has been horrible, but the only thing, the silver
Yeah.
lining is that now when I don't want to go somewhere, I don't need an excuse.
Yeah. There's already one there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been really liking working at home too. I don't know. It's been kind of nice.
I get better results here. Like there have been a couple of clients who have been like, "Look, I booked out the SSL room. Let's go over there." And I'll get to the SSL room and it's like the room doesn't sound that good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's usable, but I never get my best results because A, I'm under a certain degree of pressure to do it on a certain time frame.
Yeah.
B, I have to acclimate myself to an environment that I don't necessarily understand. And people will say, well, that's what the mastering is for. But it's like, yeah, but I got to get it right before it gets to the mastering.
Yeah.
Like,
You want it to be as good as possible.
And like 90% of the time, if I'm doing an SSL mix or, working at a studio, even in the box where it's not normally where I work, I will print the stems back in, and I'll print the individual tracks back out of the direct outs from the board after, post insert. And I will then bring it back home. And next thing you know, there's another mix happening on top of that, because suddenly there's like, oh, I didn't automate this because I couldn't get the automation brain to function right on the SSL because I'm not an SSL wizard, and the brain hasn't been adjusted or used in 30 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it can give you more work to do in some instances.
it's more work. It's more work overall.
Yeah.
That section of doing it is usually pretty quick because the mix is basically there, but it's just like, oh, okay, I missed this because I'm not used to this kind of response in the room. I thought that the vocals were too loud, but actually they're not even loud enough because I'm working on busted NS10s, and so the only thing I could hear was the vocals no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you doing a lot of tracking in your home studio, or is it more like, have you shifted more towards mixing?
I don't like people being in my apartment in general.
Yeah.
So the only person that I have recorded in my apartment besides myself is Akon.
Okay.
That is it.
Good choice.
But that said, yeah, I've recorded Akon in my living room. So
that's cool that he was down for that.
Oh, he does not care. He will record literally anywhere.
It's like if it works, it works.
Which I love and I hate at the same time.
Oh, really? Why has he like recorded stuff elsewhere and then sent it to you and had it be a issue, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I've been responsible for some of these terrible recordings. Actually, I've got nobody to blame but myself, because I travel around. I have a JZ V67, and that's what I'm talking into right now.
Okay.
I travel with this, and I travel with a second mic called the Slate VMS mic.
Oh yeah. How do you like that?
I actually really like it. I like it more than I thought I would like it.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like BS.
Yeah.
Because of what it does. But it's really, the magic of that microphone is actually in the software. And so I get what Slate is doing with it. What he's really doing is he's saying, I have this extremely highly developed software, but I can't sell software for the price tag that this is worth.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell a microphone with it. And the microphone is it's good. It's a very flat, linear, it's kind of like an even more neutral version of an SM7.
Okay.
But like, it responds as a condenser because it's a condenser. But the microphone is really just the vessel for the software, and the software itself is incredible.
Cool. Sorry, I sidetracked you from what you were talking about.
That's okay. I love sidetracking.
And for anyone watching that doesn't know, that's one of those mics that's it's modeling different microphones, right? So you have the base microphone, right? The one that the physical microphone you're using, and then you run it into the software and you can choose like a range of different microphones that it's going to emulate, right? Is that a good summary?
I would say that that's a pretty accurate summary. Yeah. It's a very, very, very flat linear microphone, which our ears don't like flat linear microphones, by the way, just as an FYI. Flat and linear sound like good price tag or good selling points, but they're really not.
Right.
Very, very clean, very flat, very linear microphone that you then apply all of the frequency curve and distortion and everything to make it sound like the microphone you're trying to emulate. And one of the coolest things that you can do with it is you can kind of reverse engineer it. So if I have a signal that just doesn't have personality or flavor, I can EQ out all of the aberrant tones and just get this like very flat, boring response, and then use the software on that capture as a mixing tool, and it actually works.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's a fun use for that. That's really cool.
Yeah. No, I've found a lot of fun uses for it. Sometimes like I used it on a VST Rhodes patch recently, and I just put it on there with like a little bit of rumors. I was like, how can I make this sound like it was a real Rhodes? So I put like a very, very, very short, subtle reverb on it in front of the insert, and then I put the VMS on there. I think it was just the 47, the very first default one, and it popped right to life. And I was like,
that's cool.
I'm a genius.
I found the magic button.
I've done the undoable.
I win the world.
Yeah.
That's cool. Have you tried any of the other ones? The other mics where they, virtual microphone. What's the S stand for? System or whatever it is. Have you tried
Um,
any of those?
I haven't. I don't typically tend to try things that are not being offered to me to try,
Mm-hmm.
just because there's so much stuff out there, and at this point I have a public platform, so it's like if you want me to try your stuff,
Yeah.
send it to me.
Yeah.
I don't need to buy anything at this point. So, you know,
Working
Slate sent me
towards
one. So I was
that.
like,
That's cool.
all right, I'll give it a go. I'll see what it is. I've crazier things have happened,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now I travel around with it.
That's cool. Yeah. So that's now like a go-to for you then, huh?
It's really useful when you don't know what you're walking into, because there are some voices that just really can't. One of the things that drives me nuts is that every time I go to one of these like high-end project studio, the microphone that's always up there is a Manley Reference C. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have a darker, rounder voice, a Manley Reference C is a great pick. But if you have a brassy or high-end voice or a brighter voice, the Manley Reference C sounds absolutely terrible, especially if you start getting close to it. So it's not generally one of my pick microphones to begin with, but it'll work at times. But a lot of times it really, really backfires. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I recorded Zion from Zion and Lennox on a Manley because there was literally nothing else. And that was the point where I was like, I have to start bringing my VMS,
Yeah.
because this is absolutely the wrong microphone and I don't have another option. And it was absolutely miserable mixing that.
Mm. So it's like a multi-tool for you almost then.
It sort of saves me when I don't know what the vocalist is going to sound like.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and when my options are limited. Obviously, if I'm over at Sphere or something where they have a $75,000 mic locker, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, if the C800 is too bright, cool, I'll pull out the 47, no
Yeah.
problem.
Like
But
something will work there.
yeah, but I mean, typically that's not where these records are being done.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone online is wondering, do you think COVID has helped make connections for up and coming artists?
I think it depends on your personality. For me, COVID actually was not the worst thing in the world, because now when I'm trying to have like Zoom meetings or I'm emailing people or doing cold calls, it's a lot less weird,
Mm-hmm.
because this is now the new normal for networking.
Yeah.
If you're a person who's really more comfortable with being out and meeting people face to face at a club or at Soho or whatever it's going to be, then this is probably really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're online savvy, this is a good time to
Yeah.
flex some muscle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. Someone's wondering, Chachi's wondering, do you have a preference in workstations?
So I'm a lame and I still work in Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
I look,
Me too.
anybody who says that Pro Tools is the best is just straight up wrong.
Yeah.
Let me end this debate right now. There are certain things where Pro Tools is great. If you need to interface with visuals, Pro Tools is number one.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a lot of editing, in my opinion, and this is debatable, but in my opinion, Pro Tools is number one. But if you are producing, I'd say Pro Tools is maybe number 4 or 5 at best. You've got Studio One, you've got Ableton, you've got
Yeah.
FL. You've got Logic, you've got Cubase. All of these are fantastic programs. And even if you want point of entry, when you're just looking at like quality versus what you pay for, like
Yeah.
what the actual cost is, you cannot beat Reaper.
Yeah.
Period. It's like $40, and it is nearly as functional and in some ways more functional than any other DAW.
Yeah.
So I'm actually using Studio One because I'm doing production,
Yeah.
and Pro Tools is so behind the curve when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to production. This is why you like to get into a market early,
Yeah.
because then you can get into the market with less overall stock and you can go much further.
Yeah. They definitely did that. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I get people asking me that all the time too. And I'm kind of like, well, I use Pro Tools, but like it's not the most accessible program. It's super expensive. Like, and depending on what you're doing, other pieces of software might do it better. So like the reason why I use Pro Tools is because that's what studios use, and I wanted to do this professionally. Like that's it. And if that's not your goal, then that might not be the best option for you.
That's what it is. If you are working in studios, you're forced into the market of Pro Tools because the
Yeah.
studios are not switching over to Logic.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. But if you are making the music yourself in your own studio, paying for Pro Tools would be absolutely foolish.
Yeah.
Anyway, goodbye any chance of an Avid endorsement I ever had. Goodbye. Goodbye. I endorse
You'll
Pro
pick up
Tools
a
to a
bunch of
certain.
other endorsements. It's okay. It'll be fine.
I'm not worried about it. I mean, I do endorse Pro Tools to an extent because it's what I use. I
Yeah.
use it. It is a fantastic program.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
And
to
there's a
take
lot
it's just
to
like,
it. Like there's a lot that you can do in Pro Tools, so it's not, I don't know.
yeah, you're not really limited in too many ways. It's when you look at it from a competition standpoint, that's when it's like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on, I could be using Studio One right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I need to dig into all those other DAWs. I haven't done it enough.
It's like learning another language.
Yeah.
It's like going from English to Spanish, where it's like there's similarities, but it's really not the same language.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's more like going from Italian to Spanish. It's probably closer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because those are pretty similar. Yeah. Cool. Do you have any like ear training exercises or things that you do regularly to kind of improve your craft?
I don't do a lot of ear training specifically. Maybe I should, but I mostly improve by just doing it a lot,
Yeah.
like a lot,
Yeah.
like a lot.
Is that usually long days of work, or do you sometimes like each night work on your own stuff? What's that look like?
It really depends on day to day and what I have in front of me, but I would say my typical day I've gotten down to about 7 hours. Typically. It's a big asterisk on that one.
Yeah.
Now that might be mixing, it might be doing something else music related, but it's still a pretty big chunk of my day. But that really only changed about maybe a year and a half ago. And leading up to that, my average typical day was between 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
And that's 7 days a week.
Yeah.
My average year did not include more than maybe a couple days off at the most.
Yeah.
So now I finally decided, I got to a point where it was like, okay, enough's enough. Let's backtrack a little bit here and slow things down.
Chill.
I've been not doing music now really for like, see, even on my vacations though, like my time off, I've been working on music today.
Yeah.
I'm taking a day off. So
But you're still working.
but I'm still doing it's not even it doesn't feel as much like work, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm making a record. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it a
I'm
record for
terrible at
you at
taking
least?
breaks.
Is it for you or for someone else?
It's a project that I am co-producing with a guy named Joe Lowry, who's a really, really amazing multi-instrumentalist producer. And I hooked him up with a small record label, and he's producing a project. I'm co-producing it, and we're turning the project in sometime mid-March. But it's one of those things where we're really just doing it mostly for fun, and having an outlet through a label just makes it like, oh, and we can make some money off of it. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, like before COVID hit, I definitely had like 12-hour days regularly. And then COVID hit and I was kind of like, well, maybe I should just slow down and like let this happen and, shift to working at home and let some stuff drop off, So
Yeah, well,
that's been,
this is where the asterisk comes in, where it's like I'm talking about my average typical day,
yeah.
but it's factoring in that there's some days where maybe I'll only work a couple of hours, and then there's also days where I'll work literally from the time that I wake up
Yeah.
until the time that I go to bed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
however long I'm awake for.
Yeah. Yeah, I have days like that too. Fun.
People tend to brag about those days, and I guess in a certain way, like I guess I have too, or maybe I even
Yeah.
am now, but those are actually, that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Weren't you from the East Coast originally, or?
I am from the East Coast originally, yeah.
Okay, we're both East Coast. I feel like it's more of an attitude over there where it's the New York style, like just work until you drop, and that's like something to be proud of. type
COVID.
attitude. Oh no.
Pardon me, everyone.
You all right?
No, I'm good. I don't know what the heck. I think I just like inhaled a dust bunny.
Yeah. The thought of
Yeah,
working super
you're
hard
f-
made you
you're from
close up.
Boston, right?
No, my husband's from Boston. I grew up right outside New York.
Oh, okay.
So,
Got you.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's an East Coast thing, but I also feel like it's just one of those things where people keep saying I lived in my car and I worked 80 hours a night and
Yeah.
I trudged through the snow even in the summer and that's
Yeah.
where I am today. And we keep hearing this again and again and again. We go, "Oh, that's how we become successful," until we internalize it to the point where we start doing it and think
Yeah.
that it's okay.
Yeah.
But what I found out is that if you can be really solid, this is almost going to sound ridiculous, but if you can get 4 incredibly productive, solid hours of work out of a day, that is actually the bulk of where your achievement comes in.
Yeah.
So it's better to keep up an extremely productive 4 hours than it is to keep up an unproductive 12 hours.
Yeah.
Not on
Yeah.
the first day. The first day, that 12 hours is going to go way further. But by the fourth day, your diminishing returns start kicking in hard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me like so on my Patreon we have a Discord server and we just started a book club and we're reading Mixer Man. Have you ever read that?
Hmm.
That reminds me he was talking about like the whole idea of when you work on Saturday, sometimes you don't even get any more stuff done compared to working just like the normal, I don't know what it was, like 5 days a week. Like if you add time and you max yourself out, you sometimes you get less done overall because you're worn out.
Yeah, and he's
I
right.
think that's true.
I
Yeah.
think I'm sort of trying to sculpt it, but like I feel like there's a paradigm for every person where you maximize your productivity and you also get to enjoy life, God
Yeah,
forbid.
yeah. Well, that's what like I've been trying to do is kind of shift towards enjoying life a little bit more.
It's important because, life goes by
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what are we all doing if we're not in this to enjoy it at the end of the day?
Yeah.
So I believe that I'm starting to sculpt my life in a way because I need to be very rigid starting this Weiss Advice company because it is a tremendous amount of work. But I believe my optimal day is starting with exercise in the morning, then breakfast, and then 3 hours of work, then a midday time for like 2 hours where
Nice.
I'm not working,
Nice.
where I'm doing something else, and then another 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours of work following that, and then, dinner, cool down, go to bed, and like being specific about not even checking emails past like 7 o'clock or something like that, not answering any client related phone calls after that point, and just like, finding my boundaries and things like that because, you know, if I can have that very productive 6 hours every day, I can stay on top of the kind of workload that I've got coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you get more self-care time, which is good.
Yeah, I mean it's all really the same. There's a engineer who used to talk about every time he'd get to the weekends, he'd be like, "Here I am, it's the weekend. Who's working? I'm working."
Right.
Kind of
Yeah.
doing this bragging thing, and then it's like, well, what people don't know is that this engineer also had a heart attack when he was 41 years old
Oh, yeah.
because he almost worked himself to death.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't do that. I feel like also those things like taking some time to do whatever, sometimes that can be like inspiration for you for the creative stuff. Like sometimes it can be constructive in its own way, you're like absorbing content or absorbing the world or whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if that made
Well,
sense.
I also have like a weird mind too, where it's
Uh-huh.
like so this sounds insane when I talk to people about it, but I had an assistant who actually watched me do it.
Uh-huh.
But I used to have a nearly eidetic memory. So I could, with things in sequence. So and this was back when I was younger. I've lost it now because I never exercised it since. But the day before this competition, this Pi Day competition to see
Oh,
who could
nice.
memorize the most digits of pi, I memorized like 150 in series,
Wow.
like just the day before,
Yeah. Wow.
and ended up winning the thing and all that. And it made the runner-up very angry because she had been really working at it for like a couple weeks.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have that anymore, but I can still do it with mixing. So I can hear a record in my head, even when I'm like taking a shower or something like that, and I can actually hear the different things that I need to do, and I can mix the record in my head.
Yeah.
And because I've mixed so much, I can then step out and I can actually do the things that I've constructed in my head, and it comes together, and I almost don't even need to listen. I mean, I do, but because I've heard it so well in my head, it all comes together. And I actually had a time where I was working on a record and my assistant was there in my home. So I have a witness for this. The Pro Tools glitched out.
Oh no.
And it was not a common glitch, but it's not the first time it's happened where the entire file erased.
Oh.
So I lost about an hour and a half of mixing work completely.
That's terrifying.
So I pulled up the session and I remade every single move over the course of about 10-15 minutes.
Oh my gosh. I would have been so screwed. I'd have been like, there goes that hour or two that I just spent. That's
the thing
wild.
is because I know I could do it, I even like looked at her, I was like, check this out.
Yeah. Nice. All right, I'm a show off now.
Yeah, I got to show off. This is pretty much my only superpower.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I think it's just because I think about this stuff so often and I do it
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, it's like a really complex version of the Tetris effect, or is that what it's even called? Where like you do something enough and then you start like dreaming about it or like visualizing it in your head. And
Yes, I'll dream about records that
Yeah.
I'm working on or have worked on.
yeah,
And I'll wake up and I'll actually be able to mix the record or work on the record faster because I dreamed about it.
yeah,
It's
it's cool.
I'm probably insane. This is what we're getting at.
No, I've had that too. I'm sure I don't have it to like the depth that you have it, I'm sure, but I've had like little bits of that before. You know what
Well,
happened
you're
to
also
me?
10 years younger than me.
Am I? How old are you?
I am now 36.
Oh, I'm not 10 years younger than you.
Okay. Well, you look 10 years younger than me,
Thanks.
so
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I had the other day? I dreamt this girl that I'm going to be meeting with tomorrow actually to talk about one of her projects. And I dreamt that I saw her at a party, that I had a party in my house, and which like I used to do before COVID. And she came to the party because like I'm friends with her and her husband. And then I saw her and was like, oh shit, I forgot to answer your text the other day. And I'm so sorry. And I like apologized in my dream. And then I woke up and remembered that I had to text her back. Which was
look
weird.
at that.
It was weird. Yeah.
But I don't think it's that weird.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think when something's on our mind, it stays on our mind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. It's weird how the brain works.
It knows what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Well, we may or may not listen.
Yeah, that's true. So, do you have any like podcasts or shows or books or anything that you'd recommend to us that you've been into lately?
You're asking if I have a life. There was a show I was watching on Netflix. I mean, first of all, if you're not I don't know if everybody is a Marvel fan, but I'm just assuming for safety's sake, everyone's a Marvel fan.
Uh-huh.
If you haven't been watching
safe.
WandaVision, I love WandaVision.
Oh yeah, I've been watching that. Yeah.
Definitely recommend that one. In terms of books, gosh, well, welcome to me being boring. You know, here's what I'm reading now.
Huh? What's that about?
It's economics.
Nice.
It's
Is that
it's
a Great
chart
Courses?
reading. Say what?
Is that the Great Courses logo at the top? Is it a Great Courses?
It's Wiley Trading.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so you know, that's what I'm into right now. So that's
Nice.
what I'm doing. So if you want to learn about day trading, I do recommend the Candlestick course by Steve Neeson.
Nice. Is it making a lot of sense?
It is actually. It's very friendly to people who are new.
Cool. Awesome. Sweet.
It's got little quizzes in it.
Yeah. That's cool. So it helps you like process what you're actually reading.
Yep. Interactive learning.
Yes. That's what we learned today. Interactive learning.
Yeah.
Someone's wondering if you're still working under the Pro Audio files.
Right now I technically am, but I guess so with the pro audiophiles, I've always been a freelancer. I've just been so deeply entrenched in it that it feels like we homogenized and became one thing to the point where people believed that I ran the pro audiophiles. And I think I've done a good job of dispelling that over the last few years. But I've been obviously the heaviest content creator in terms of just output. So, but I've always been a freelancer. So it's not like I work for or don't work for. It's am I working for or am I not working for?
Dog earthquake.
Well, something happened outside, I guess. A bird or something.
Yeah.
So I will probably be doing a lot less with the pro audiophiles coming up. And I think for the very few people who actually follow my stuff, me specifically, as opposed to the pro audiophiles, you might have picked up that I've been doing a lot less in general over the last maybe year or so. And it's becoming a point where like I'm oversaturated on that channel. And so I don't need to be there. Dan has gotten some really, really great content providers together in addition to myself. I mean, if I leave somebody out, then it's my bad. But, Ian Vargo pops into my head immediately. Eric Tarr does really, really great technical breakdowns of things. There's a new guy named Danny Echeverria. He's not even that new, but he's on the newer side. And everything... I don't know if you can hear that, but apparently we're under attack.
It's like, hold for plane.
So he's doing some really, really good content. And I think it's just, it's their time. I've had my time, and now I'm going to be doing my own thing.
Yeah. So you're just giving it a breather and doing your own stuff. That's cool. Someone's wondering if they have their eyes on some of your courses through there. Should they hold off and wait for new content?
For new content on the membership site?
Through a new platform.
Oh, should you subscribe for the pro audiophiles or should you subscribe to my platform is the question.
I guess that's the question.
That's a very difficult question to answer for a lot of
reasons.
reasons.
You know what? Maybe we can skip that question.
I will say this, take a look. The difference between the pro audiophiles and my platform is going to be format, and it's going to be who is going to be providing the content.
Yeah.
So, you look at like I said, there's other really great content providers. And if you're interested in what they're doing, then the pro audiophiles is a really good place to go. And on top of that, just the sheer amount of volume of tutorials that's on there makes it good if you like that style of learning.
Yeah.
If you want to lean more toward the interactive side of things, and if you're specifically interested in what I'm doing, then my site will ultimately be better for that specifically. But you have to use your own judgment, and you have to say, okay, what's really going to work better for me.
Yeah They're going to be different, so maybe do both or something. I don't know.
I mean, I will not be collecting any kind of a royalty or anything off of the pro audiophiles, but I will still say that there is great content over there.
Yeah,
so,
there is.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I think we're pretty good. I've kept you long enough probably at this point. Do you want to mention anything else or mention your socials, your website?
Yeah, so sure, we can do that. You can find me on Instagram at Weiss Sound with 3 uncomfortable S's in the middle because I don't know how social media works. And I will also be having a Weiss Advice Instagram coming up pretty soon as well. Facebook, I mean, you can follow me on Facebook, but I got bad news for you. If you're looking for music content, a lot of the time that's not what's there. It's a lot of my personal ramblings. And
it's all the crypto
if you want
stuff.
that, brace yourself.
I think it's fun. I like it. You posted the other day about something that had to do with actual mixing, but you didn't really post about actual mixing. What was it? You said like, oh, I'm going to post about mixing now.
Oh, no, I did a live. I went on Facebook Live, and,
and
I went through a whole concept on mixing a dub record.
Okay.
You just missed the good part.
I missed it. Yeah, I saw the post, but there wasn't a link on that post that I saw for some, or I don't think there was.
Well, and that's because I'm terrible at social media. Told you.
Yeah, somehow you're doing great. So
I'm doing well because I'm a good teacher. That's
Yeah.
really what it just comes down to.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm pretty much terrible at. So
I think you're doing fine.
yeah, it's working out.
I just missed it somehow.
I'm a halfway decent dog dad.
Sweet.
So
That's what's really important. So,
yeah.
yeah. Cool. Well, I guess what I should do is mention my giveaway again. So again, leaning over is hard. Okay. This is what I'm giving away. It's a driverless MIDI cable. So like old school MIDI to USB, right? It's supposed to work without a driver. And so it's kind of like an interface. They call it an interface. That's my story.
You need giveaway music.
I know. I should figure out how to use this OBS thing and actually like bump up the production value a little. You know what I did do?
I got you.
Oh yeah, sweet. So here we go. It's the lovely MIDI cable for your listening adventures. Yeah. So that's what I'm giving away. So what I want you guys to do to enter is subscribe, like this video, and comment with hashtag MIDI music. And then also, this is the new thing that I'm workshopping this time, is go to my Instagram, which is at Cato Noise. And then I'm going to post a image here in 1 second. And you can comment on that image for additional entries, and just comment with the hashtag MIDI music, and then tag 2 people in your comment for those additional entries. So you can enter on this video, you can enter on my Instagram, and if you're a Patreon, you can also enter on my Patreon. Yeah, that's my Instagram. See, look at us being good at this social media stuff.
I can't do this looking in the camera.
And I have the image here, so I just posted the image just now. So if you want an additional entry, go to Instagram, and it's the most recent image, which is this one. Woo! That's the actual cable. I know it's like black in the picture, but it's orange. I hope that's okay with everybody. Cool.
Oh, Daisy's cool with it.
Sweet. As long as Daisy's cool with it, that's all that matters.
That's pretty much how my life goes, actually.
That's a good way to be, I think. I'm like that with my bunny. If my bunny is happy,
make my dogs happy, I'm not doing badly.
Yeah, that's how you know you're a good person. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Is it going to be WeissAdvice.com? What's the actual?
WeissAdvice.net. I couldn't get .com. They wanted $7,000 for it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Lame. Cool. Well, we'll look forward to, I guess, the announcement of that going live.
Oh yes, and
cool.
you will be hearing about it a lot.
Sweet. Awesome.
So, too much.
Cool. As long as we don't miss it, because that would suck.
Trust me, you won't be able to miss it. It's going to be on like every post I make. I'm going to be like, oh my God, stop shilling your website. Jeez.
Well, if you work hard on it, then, you know, it seems like it'll help a lot of people too. So
that is the mission. You know what it really is that there's this terrible reality that I'm always looking at when I make these courses, which is just knowing how hard it is to succeed in music, because I'm selling a course to get people to be able to mix better, knowing that a large portion, and I don't know what percentage, but a large portion will not become successful even if they become the best in the world at what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to try to change that paradigm where I can not just get people to be better at what I'm doing, but also to look at things in a more holistic way and start becoming successful. You know, I started getting messages on Instagram from people who are now, you know, pretty serious engineers saying that they came up watching my videos.
That's so cool.
And I was like, that should be everybody.
Yeah.
And can I do that? Can I just have just have a preposterous success rate coming off of Weiss Advice? Just like 90% of the people coming through there just go on to have amazing careers. And I don't know, but that is my goal. That is what I want.
Awesome. That's so cool. It's like you're a one-man college.
Yeah, that's the design of it, is to basically, you know, to be like, you know, to compete with Full Sail. And SAE and all of these other you know, companies.
Yeah, cool. Sweet. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your time. I'll try to figure out how to end this stream. Thanks everyone for hanging out.
I think just trailing off, like with like just meander the way out.
We should just walk away and leave it running.
Yeah, just
Just bye guys.
okay. We're done.
You get to listen to me making snacks next.
Yes.
Sweet. All right, bye guys. Sweet.
Camera still rolling.